Welcome again, everyone. The second half of this talk is going to be full of examples of strategic innovation because everywhere you hear that innovation creates value, but it looks like it is a vague thing. What do we mean by value and how does it create value, right? So I have decided to actually bring to you very tangible examples where you can actually look and say, oh, that's what it means creating value is. Okay, so hopefully you'll enjoy this particular set of examples that I'm going to give you. And in fact, as a practitioner, I'm going to give you examples from my own research career. Okay, with that introduction, let me give you some framework. When is strategic innovation needed by established organizations? So, first point, business as usual is becoming very vulnerable. That means competition is intensifying, product differentiation is thinning, consumer needs are rapidly evolving, process efficiency is reaching its maximum. You know that you are reaching the end of the tunnel for your business. Okay, your business is, if you have already not realized that, you should realize that business is becoming very vulnerable. Current product line is unable to meet the customer needs and nearing the end of the life cycle. You should also worry. Consumers and customers are demanding new and superior products that satisfy unmet or undermet needs. Okay, so therefore that's when you know that you need strategic innovation. So strategic innovation means innovation that takes into account all of those different requirements and challenges. So what is strategic innovation? Strategic innovation is the creation and capture of wealth and or value. I am defining it myself, okay, so that you can see the rest of the presentation hinges upon this definition. Strategic innovation is the creation and capture of wealth and or value, recognizing the needs of the customers and consumers, visualizing opportunities, and designing solutions using intersecting knowledge and expertise, imagination and creativity. So remember, innovation requires imagination, innovation requires creativity, innovation requires knowledge and expertise, but none of those individual things are innovation. Like creativity is not innovation, but innovation requires creativity. Just want to make sure that you understand. Achieving solutions, when you say solutions, it means products, processes or services, overcoming constraints and risks, utilizing entrepreneurial capabilities. That's the thing. This is what is known as strategic innovation. Now let's look at it. How does strategic innovation create value? So innovation actually starts with innovation by a firm starts by first creating value to consumers. So remember, if I do not solve your need, okay, or your challenge or your want, there is no opportunity for me. I have to solve your need with either a product or a service, and then you are going to say that, okay, since you solved my need and gave me a product, I am going to pay you more than what you spent on making that product in the first place. That is what translates into your profit. So that's how companies then earn revenues, profits and market share. That is what is known as creating wealth and value to company. Okay. Now if a company is making money based on the products or the services that it's producing and it's increasing over a period of time, then basically what happens is shareholders and investors will say, I'm going to put clearly you are going to be, first of all, be able to give higher rates of return on their investments because they invested their money in your company in the first place. Now you are going to say that I'm going to give you higher rate of return than what you are going to get if you are going to take a fixed deposit in a bank, or let us say you are going to open a savings bank account, or you are going to put it in a real estate. I am going to give you higher value than what you are going to get from any of those investments. That is what is called creating value for shareholders. Value for investors. Value for investors is, they'll say, I'm not interested in your giving rate of return right now, but I want to make sure that your company grows by 10-fold, 20-fold, 50-fold, so that if I invested in you 1,000 rupees, 10 years from now, I would like to see it as 1 crore. If your company grows very, very rapidly, it will be 1 crore. I want that. That's what is called creating value to investors. Then, value to employees. Value to employees means, okay, as your company is doing better and better, you will say, it's you who made this possible. Therefore, I'm going to pay you better salaries. I'm going to give you better benefits. Like, for example, I know certain companies in India will give cars to all its employees, free, basically, and then change those cars every 3 years or 5 years. Okay, that's a benefit. Okay. Similarly, they can give for the entire family an overseas trip as a benefit. Things of that nature. Because the company is doing so well, instead of paying taxes, they will pay benefits to company employees. Then value to community. Community is like creating social value. Like, for example, if the company is doing very well and it says it is the community that is providing me the workforce for my employment, for my company, so therefore what I will do is I'm going to create schools to educate the children of your children, or I'm going to create hospitals to take care of you. So that is all considered as, or I'm going to provide scholarships for your students. All of these are considered as creating social value, value to community. Then value to environment. Value to environment is like, for example, I want to make sure that while I do all these great things, I'm not destroying the environment to create this. I'm going to make sure that the environment is preserved just the way it is, in spite of my operations. So that is what is creating value to environment. And then when you do all of these things and company is growing, then what happens is your chances are you are creating more and more employment, right? And if there are many companies like yours, then obviously the government is going to benefit in terms of both employment numbers as well as GDP numbers. So GDP is going to expand. That is what is called creating value to economy. So now imagine when I say strategic innovation creates value, I mean all of these things. Value is multi-dimensional. Okay. What are the approaches for organizations to create sustainable value? Okay, if you take value like this, let us say you have come up with a technology 1. Okay, now you can see that technology 1 started like this, and then it started giving huge value, and at some point it tapers off, because you know that every technology meets end of the life cycle. But that is called incremental innovation. So you took one particular product or service, and you kept on little by little improving, little by little, and then you achieved from this present state to that state. Okay, little by little you did. But then suppose you do this radical or breakthrough innovations. What it means is, you know that T1 is going to become kind of taper off here. The benefits are going to taper off here. The value is going to. So you actually come up with a new technology called T2. And before it tapers off, you're going to introduce T2. Before T2 tapers off, you're going to introduce T3 and T4. So now what you're doing is, you yourself recognize the obsolescence of your technology and then introduce T2, T3, T4 in a timely fashion, so that you're not waiting for someone to tell you that your technology T1 is outdated. You yourself recognize that and then do this. This is how some of the companies have achieved market leadership in the last century, and in fact for the next few centuries. This is how it will happen. There's also one other way you can do, which is you can create a totally different market with a totally different set of consumers. Okay, and that would be considered as disruptive innovation. Okay, so if your company is interested in rapid growth, you're not going to be focusing on incremental innovation. Instead, you're going to be focusing on radical or breakthrough innovations and disruptive innovations. That's the moral of the story. So, auto-technological obsolescence through strategic innovation. So, why do I call auto technological obsolescence. Means you yourself recognize your T1 is going to become obsolete, okay, in such certain number of years, and say that I'm going to be working on T2, T3 and T4 and plan and actually launch them in such a way before this T1 becomes obsolete. Okay, and those are called radical or breakthrough innovations. Can really any company do that? The answer is absolutely yes, and I'm going to show you examples. This is what is called sustainable value creation. Means your value creation is not just a one-time deal. It's continually you're going to generate year after year for maybe 100 years. Okay, let me give you an example to show that. Okay. What are the before we do that, I also want to talk about another important piece of work that I would like to point out. What are the triggers for strategic innovation? So, strategic innovation does not happen in vacuum. There are certain triggers. Like for example, if a corporation receives investment from investors and shareholders, that is this arrow, okay? Now, what is their expectation? If you put money in equity markets, your expectation is that your rate of return is significantly higher, right? Your rate of return, you can see there are 3 rupee signs here, there are 2 rupee signs here. What that means is your rate of return has to be significantly higher than what you can probably get somewhere else in other investments. But that in turn puts what is called demands for high rate of return, actually puts pressure on the company. Means I cannot be doing the same thing year in, year out and expect to be giving high rates of return to my investors and shareholders. That means I must be actually thinking of innovation. Second thing, changing consumer and customer requirements. Because consumers and customers are not going to be forever the same. They are also aging, they are also, you may have younger customers coming into the mix. Their requirements are different, and unless you adjust your product lines to meet the changing customer requirements, you are going to become obsolete. Third, changing market conditions. Market is not going to be the same. You are not going to have the same set of buyers, you are not going to have the same set of suppliers, you are not going to have the same set of competition. All of these things are going to be constantly changing because there can be a new entrant posing a threat to you tomorrow. So, how well, and all of these things can essentially create technology obsolescence. So, you must be prepared to proactively meet that challenge. Then, regulatory compliance. Everything else being perfect, suddenly government can come and say, you cannot do this or you cannot do that, or you can only do it this way. That is called regulations. So when government imposes regulations like that, then suddenly what happens is you are under severe pressure, and you have to see whether you can meet that challenge or not. That means it's an innovation trigger. Other thing is macroeconomic conditions. There are times when economy changes so badly, it leads to recession, and if you are selling, let us say, if you are a company selling products that are premium products, then you chances are under weak economic conditions, people are not going to buy expensive products. So then what are you going to do? If you are selling only expensive products, premium products, your business is going to tank. So you have to realize that recession is a real thing, and recession is coming, and therefore you actually change your product mix to meet recession proof products as well as expensive premium products. Then what happens is during the recession time, you will be able to still succeed in your business with products and services that will still be affordable to others. Last one is need for competitive advantage. See, all said and done, if your competitors can do better than you, then you are in trouble. So what you need to know is you need to constantly focus on your competition and see on their technology capabilities, on their resource capabilities, and say that how can I do better than that? How can I do faster than that? So that is called need for competitive advantage. So all of these things essentially are triggers for strategic innovation. Okay, now let's look at the Gillette company, which has focused on radical and breakthrough technological innovations for competitive advantage. So what does that mean? Remember I showed you the diagram where T1 is made obsolete by T2, is obsoleted by T3, T4. So that clearly shows what you yourself make your own technologies obsolete by introducing newer and better technologies. Okay, so this is an example of need for comparative advantage. This is a case of Gillette. Gillette actually came up with the world's first safety razor, okay, US patent 228904, okay, in 1880. It's the world's first safety razor. In 1904, it took another patent, okay, it's called razor, okay, and this razor actually is the first double-edged safety razor. So this obsoleted this 1880 product. And what did it do? It won contract to supply American troops in World War I with new disposable blade, this one, as part of its standard field kit, and they delivered a total of 3.5 million razors and 32 million blades. Okay, so this is how 1904 they obsoleted the technology earlier. Okay, then Gillette was registered as a company in 1908. Now, in 1934, they came up with first thin blades technology, and they replaced their earlier blades. In 1947, they came up with the first twist to open razor, another patented technology that made changing blades much easier. Okay, and in 1960, they came up with the world's first disposable cartridge with a razor band, which was advanced by means of a lever. Remember, these are all technologies that Gillette itself is coming and making its own technologies obsolete. So that is what I meant by T2, T3, T4 obsoleting their own technologies. In 1971, Gillette came up with the world's first twin blade razor. Okay, Gillette, that's called Track 2 Plus, is an identical model but adds a lubricating strip at the top of the blade. So remember, that means their understanding of the consumer is so incredibly great that when you shave your face or when you shave your whatever legs and things like that, you actually need a lubricating strip. So they actually put skin lubrication is required, so they did that. Then you can see that 1976 they came up with the first disposable double blade razor. Okay, then 1990 they came up with the world's first razor, okay, that have a spring loaded blades to prevent cuts and gives you a closer shave, because if there are any bumps or things, it recognizes and moves up. Okay, that is 1990 invention. Then in 1998 they came up with Gillette Mark III, the world's first 3-blade razor that reduces irritation and requires fewer strokes. And now in India we have, for example, this Gillette Mark III. In 2005 they came up with Gillette Fusion. It's another patented technology, the first razor with 5 blades, okay, which provides the closest shave and most comfortable shave. So now you imagine Gillette as a company protected and promoted strategic innovations for greater than 120 years. So I made my point. So the point is that you actually proactively recognize how you are going to actually satisfy the needs of the consumers and make your technologies better and better and better, and thereby introduce technologies like T2, T4 and even T5, which is a disruptive technologies, thereby obsoleting your own technologies but graduating people. So that is how Gillette became a huge company, and the enterprise value. So let's talk about how did strategic innovation create value for Gillette. Okay, Gillette company was acquired by Procter & Gamble for $57 billion. Okay, imagine their revenues at the time of sale were $16 billion. Okay, because I was working in a company that competed with Gillette. Okay, and they were acquired for $57 billion. So that means they are much more than the worth of their revenues, and that is called creation of value. Okay. Examples of disruptive technological innovations that captured significant growth. So all of the things that I showed you are what you call in the Gillette are breakthrough innovations. They are not necessarily disruptive innovations. Why I would say that is because when Gillette came up with a new technology to obsolete its old technology, they are still in the business of shaving. They didn't create a new market. They actually were in the business of shaving, but they made shaving a more enjoyable experience. They made shaving more convenient, more easy, right? They didn't create a new customer base. They expanded the existing customer base. So they had, for example, both young, old, men, women, all of them were using, but it's still shaving, right? So that is considered as in an existing market, improving the quality of research to essentially deliver improved products and services, using new technology routes. That is considered as breakthrough innovations. Disruptive innovations are slightly different. Now I'll show you this. When Henry Ford came up with Model T car in 1927, until then the assembly lines had got actually static assembly lines. So different groups of workers had to come and, for example, assemble, let us say, doors, and they will go back, and then another group of workers will come and assemble steering wheels, another group of workers will come and assemble seats. So it was like that. So that kind of manufacturing used to take a long time, and it was extraordinarily inconvenient because they had to not only bring the workers, and movement of workers is important, and also movement of tools is important. Okay, so this was like a what you call basically the T car was built on a moving assembly line. Ford introduced a moving assembly line, so the car will come to the groups of workers rather than groups of workers going to the car, and that's what made the Model T car very cheap. Okay, Intel's microprocessor chip that revolutionized the computer industry. Okay, Apple II computer 1979 was the first PC, because there was nothing called PC until then. So clearly that PC revolutionized it so much that mainframe computers were basically had to be retired from many big organizations. Similarly, Canon's portable copiers that eliminated the need for big mega Xerox machines. Okay, Google search engine wiped off at the time before Google came. I remember, in fact, when we were in the US, when we were using something like 25 internet search engines, and we had to choose. Okay, and all of them, and in fact, many of them are so pretty lousy. Okay, when Google came, it was absolutely like a night and day difference. So what happened? Google simply wiped off the entire market and cleaned up. So it's only Google now, right? These are called disruptive innovations. Okay, now let me point out. Sorry. Okay. All right. Now the next case I'm going to talk about is from my own R&D background, where how a breakthrough innovation can create value. Okay, so let's talk of sustainable business means one that generates economic value, social value, and environmental value. At one time, when we say sustainable business, a company that generated revenues and profits in a sustained way so that it can actually pay its shareholders and investors, right? If you keep your shareholders and investors happy, that's great. Not anymore. Now, a company has to satisfy a number of stakeholders, not just shareholders, okay? Not just investors, number of stakeholders. And those stakeholders are in the areas of social value and environmental value. Companies have to do this also. So the example that I'm going to give you from my own R&D career will show you that, okay? This is called triple bottom line. If you generate only economic value, that's called bottom line. If you generate all these three, it's called triple bottom line. And how do you do that? You can do that only through continual innovation. Okay. Now, remember I already showed you what are the triggers of strategic innovation. So in this particular case, this is about regulatory compliance. Okay. And changing market conditions, demands for high return on investment. These are the three conditions that forced us to do innovation. But regulatory compliance is the major reason. Okay. This particular case also deals with, we talked about sources of technological innovation in session 1. This is about technological innovation. Sources of innovation, this is about technological innovation. We also talked about the types of innovation, sustaining and disruptive. This is about radical or breakthrough innovation. We talked about innovation on approach basis. This is about technology push innovation. Okay, so I'm characterizing various elements of the case for better understanding. Okay, so now technology push innovation is, what happens is you come up with technical invention first, then you creatively apply the technology to solving some problem, then you identify market opportunity, and then you commercially exploit. Those are the steps in a technology push innovation. So strategic intellectual property management, it is called integrated strategy. I'm not going to go deep into it, but it is this particular case uses integrated IP management policy. Now let's look at the company background. This is known as SC Johnson Company, okay, and it's a fast moving consumer goods company founded in 1886. Revenues 10 billion. Approximately 12,000 employees, operations in more than 70 countries, so it's a global company, okay, and one of the most admired companies in USA because this company has come up with so many firsts. Women in the United States, they encouraged women to actually work in the workplace, that's one thing. They are the first companies to give maternity leave for 6 months. They are the first ones to give paternity leave for even fathers of young infants, 3 months of paternity leave, and there are so many benefits they have created, social value, that this company is in one of the top 10 most admired companies. Means like people would love to work for this company, one of the top 10. Okay, that's what this company is. Then this company has got 5 divisions, okay, and this case deals with personal care products. Now competitors for this company are Procter & Gamble, Reckitt Benckiser, Unilever, Clorox, Colgate-Palmolive, and Henkel. And in fact, I was a former Unilever employee, so I was competing with my own company in one sense, but in the new setting. Procter & Gamble is another company I always competed lifelong, and others. So SC Johnson Company, if you consider relative market share and market growth rate and put all the products that it sells, okay, all the divisions that it has, they will fall under these categories. There are some businesses that are called stars by Boston Consultancy Growth Model Matrix, BCG Matrix model. If you see, these are the stars. Okay, this company had a philosophy that if you do not have number 1 brand or number 2 brand, you must sell those things. So every single brand, every single division this company had is either number 1 or number 2 globally in their businesses. Okay, so these are some of them. Then cash cows. Cash cows are this particular product line, this business makes more than 50% profit because they invented the technology and they are the first ones to come up with. I'll explain a little later. So their profits are actually funneled into others. These are question marks. Some of you know Ziploc bags. This is the company that came up with Ziploc bags first. So now of course there are a lot of generic Ziploc bags are available, but this is the company that came up with. And also glass cleaning, fantastic, and all of that. Then there are some dogs. Saran wrap, the food wrap that you see in India right now was originally invented by this company. Okay, and then of course they didn't mismanage, so therefore it became a dog. That's how it happened. Similarly, Ziploc containers, plastic containers with plastic lids, also this company came up with first. So there are many, all of these are inventions and innovations that they come up with first. This case actually deals with this. Why? Because hopefully okay, before I do that, I'll explain. Companies like individuals have something called value disciplines. Like you have to decide your strategic innovation. What is the underlying strategy, right? This company had 2 strategies for achieving value. That's why they are called value disciplines. Value disciplines are product leadership and operational excellence. Let me explain to you a little bit before I go into the case. Product leadership means at any cost, I am going to be first in the marketplace with my product, a new technology, or I am going to be the best in the marketplace. So both are extremely difficult to do. So whatever technology, process, or service innovation that you are going to come up with, you want to be the first one in the marketplace, ahead of all competition. Or if competition has entered it before you, then you want to beat them by producing even better technologies and better products. That's product leadership. But operational excellence is exactly the opposite of that. Operational excellence is cost optimization. So whatever products you actually launch into the marketplace, they are going to be the world's cheapest. So let me give you an example. Product leadership example is Procter & Gamble. Procter & Gamble comes up with, and Unilever for that matter. Okay, so they always come up with technologies and products ahead of the competition, right? And then what happens is, then they don't consider cost as an important thing. Being first is the most important, or being the best is the most important. You will try to make your profits by preempting your competition. That's how you make your profit margins. Operational excellence is not like that. By providing the cheapest product alternative to anybody else, right? So if you are after being the best and being the first or the best in the marketplace, then operational excellence can really come and give you huge problems. That is what this particular case shows. And this is the reason why innovation, okay, when you actually see these stories in the textbooks and in the newspapers and in television programs and all that, they look very sexy, but they are merely headlines. You do not hear about the struggles, the constraints and limitations that people have to actually overcome, and how unpleasant those experiences are not usually talked about, okay, because it's about talking about success. Here I am going to tell you some of those unpleasant parts also. So market background, Edge and Skintimate brands, personal care. Okay, so what happened was, SC Johnson invented and patented the first shave gel technology in the 1970s. Okay, and Gillette, many people think, for example, now in India we get Gillette shaving gels. Gillette shaving gel was absolutely copied after the patent for Edge and Skintimate ran out. So the first 20 years, SC Johnson had absolute domination. While Gillette was still producing a soap, hard soap, and then a brush. That's their technology, and SC Johnson came up with this gel technology. SCJ was the shaving market leader in about 20 years in US. Gillette entered the US shave gel market once SCJ patent expired in the protection limit. Now this is the time, in 2005, I was hired by SC Johnson as the worldwide director of R&D. But what I didn't know at that time, okay, Gillette and SC Johnson fought intense market battles is something that I knew. But what I didn't know was, of course, SC Johnson had a market share of 70% in female and 42% in the male. And shaving gels were based on aerosol technology. Okay, what I didn't know was this. Gillette was acquired by Procter & Gamble in 2005. That coincides with the timing when I was hired by SC Johnson. And SC Johnson wanted me to take these brands and make them into global brands, global personal care brands. Okay? And an already tough competitor became an even more formidable force to reckon with. See, imagine a company that was 16 billion, or was what SC Johnson was fighting before. And now when Procter & Gamble bought it, it is $100 billion, close to 99 billion dollars company. Now you are fighting with Procter & Gamble. Being a $10 billion company, fighting a company that is 10 times larger in size is not a joke. It's very, very challenging. Then what happened? California Air Resources Board, that's a government body, it introduced a new legislation restricting the content of volatile organic chemicals in aerosol products to protect the environment. So this is a regulatory environment that all of a sudden dropped on this company. Okay. Now these things I didn't know when I actually took over their R&D. And the challenge is, imagine, let me show you the challenge on the next page. Central business issue. All of these products are based on what are called as aerosol technology, and what they are asking is reduce the volatile organic chemicals in shave products to 4%. At that time, what this shave gels had was 7% of volatile organic chemicals, and they are practically asking the VOCs to be reduced to 4%. And then second requirement was, I joined in 2005, around March like that. 2009 December, you have to completely remove the existing market products and replace them with new products that have 4% VOC in them. Okay, so if we don't, then the entire business will have to be, basically vanish, because they have to remove all the products. If you do strategic analysis, okay, if you do Porter 5 forces model analysis, what it is regulatory restrictions. It is not threat of new entrants, it's not bargaining power of suppliers, it's not any one of those 5 forces. There is a 6th force, okay, that it's not rivalry among existing competitors either. Regulatory restrictions are the ones that created the need for innovation. Okay, technology background. Okay, here it is. SCJ shave products. These products are meant for shaving. They were in a piston cam. Okay, so the shaving gel had 4% VOCs, and under the piston there are 3% of volatile organic chemicals. So together 4 plus 3, 7%. What the government is asking is eliminate and make 4% of VOCs. That means we have, these are the options. Gel itself contained 4%, package contained 3%. There were a total of 24 SKUs, means like there are a total of 24 different shave formulas that are marketed at that time. Okay, and they are all very different. So now, market proposition. SCJ shave brands were ranked number 1 and number 2 in USA and have strong brand equity beyond shave category in personal care. So in fact, what I and my group had to do was actually come up with a number of innovations. Okay, and what I'm going to show you here, however, is only what we did, innovations we did for complying with this regulatory requirement. Okay, potential solutions. Option A, change the packaging. Suppose you change the packaging, so you will eliminate this under the piston VOC, right? So this particular one, 3% can be eliminated. Then it will be 4%, you will comply. Option B is change gels. Don't change packaging. So then what that means is, you are going to then essentially what you call keep the packaging, so 3% VOCs are there. You will reduce the VOCs in the gel from 4% to 1%. So that's how you are going to meet it, right? Option C, change the gels and change the packaging also. That means you come down to 2% VOCs in the gel and 2% VOCs under the piston. Okay. Now, what happened? So this is what happened. Key facts in the case. SCJ is the world's largest manufacturer of aerosol products. I have to tell you this. So that means every employee in that company, you must have heard of C.K. Prahlad's model of core competency. So the core competency for this particular company is aerosol products. So aerosol manufacture is their core competence. That means any employee, if you simply go and talk to them, they are absolutely world's leading experts. Okay, except me, who joined the company new. Okay, and edge and skintimate shave gels are aerosol products. Okay, SCJ's intellectual capital, that's what I was just mentioning. SCJ employees were all exceptionally well versed in the manufacture of aerosols for over 50 years. This requires tapping human capital of SCJ. So for me, when I joined, I've had a large group of employees working with me, scientists and engineers. I have to work with my experts to solve this problem, correct? And so first thing I did was, but of course I had to get the agreements at the highest levels of the company. So what I did, I went and asked my experts who are actually working with me, okay? So they said option one was changing the packaging, and this is what the experts said: there is little or no scope for changing the packaging because any packaging change would require huge capital investment, and current packaging was fully optimized by SCJ engineers, okay, for over a period of 10 years. So basically they told me, my own people told me that you cannot change packaging. So okay, so paradigm one, right? Remember, innovation always requires challenging paradigms. What did the experts say? Paradigm two, there is little or no scope for changing the gels. When I said, how about can we change the gels? So they said, no, you can't change the gels because the gels were optimized for 10 years and consumers will easily detect any changes in the gel. So even if, let us say, you can change the gel, consumers will detect, therefore you can't do that. Okay. So then what if I cannot change the gel, if I cannot change the packaging, what can I change? In December 2009, 4 years from now, I have to not only change all of these things, finish all the testing, and actually launch these products in the marketplace. If I don't do that, company will definitely go to dark. My job will also go. So I will be out of job. So it's as simple as this. And now imagine you are working with your own people are telling you, you can't do this. Then at that point, so manufacturing, okay, let me put it this way. At that point I said, okay, I will go and talk to the management. Who are the management? The chief executive officer, the chief manufacturing, the chief of manufacturing, okay, and then the chief marketing officer, and the chief legal officer, chief financial officer. Those are my equals. So we sat in one room, and I said, how about, because I didn't tell them what my own experts actually told me. Instead, I went and told them, how about if I say I'm going to change the packaging? Then the head of manufacturing simply said, over my dead body. You can do that, over my dead body. So I said, oh, okay, that's a very friendly remark. So obviously that means you are opposed. I'm glad that you got the hint, my hint. He said, okay, fine. Then I said, how about changing the gel? And the head of marketing said, are you really kidding? When did you join the company? He asked me. Because I'm the new kid on the block, and that man has been there in the company for 25, 30 years and he's head of marketing. And he's telling me, you're not really serious, right? You're changing the gel? You think that consumers won't detect? I said, absolutely not. You can't change the gel. He said, so if I cannot change the gel, if I cannot change the packaging, everyone opposed. Option C said, that's absolutely ridiculous. Remove it. It's not an option, they said. What do you mean changing this and changing that? I mean, absolutely, we are not allowing you to change even one. And the problem is, I didn't have any technological solutions that I had in mind readily available for any option. I am the new person. I don't have the expertise, yet I am supposed to manage all of this for the company. So what kind of intense pressure, imagine. And then they put significant capital and time restrictions. The time restriction has come from the government itself. 4 years, within 4 years, you have to do the entire thing and launch new products. So that means essentially the last year will go for actually launching products in the marketplace, right? So that means I have less than 3 years to start and finish, and I don't know where to start. So what's the way out? Question is, can we challenge paradigms? Yes, we must. Is this an opportunity for value creation? Yes, indeed. So when you talk of innovation creating value or strategic innovation creating value, this is the kind of scenarios you enter, where clearly you are staring at what looks like an impossibility, okay? And your own people are telling you that it won't work. And the experts are telling you that you are an absolute fool. Now imagine this is the scenario where you must lead the troops for what you believe. That is what an innovator must do. Innovator's quality is to have the clear conviction of, I will do this no matter what, even if it means losing the job, even if it means, I'm going to do it. Right? Now let's look at the innovation mission. I negotiated a compromise. Now imagine those are the risks and constraints, right? I went to the manufacturing head of manufacturing. I organized another meeting and I asked him, you are not necessarily opposed to, me changing packaging. I said, what do you mean? He asked me, what do you mean by that? I said, well, you are opposed to me touching the packaging because you think it's going to involve huge capital investment. But suppose I actually come up with packaging that doesn't involve huge capital investment, would you still be opposed to this? Then he started thinking for a while. He said, no, I don't think so. Kind of reluctantly he said like this. So now this is what is called reframing constraints and risks and getting commitment from them. Okay, this is also part of what an innovator must do. If you simply look at it in the experts' views, those constraints and limitations are insurmountable. You cannot cross them. But you are looking through a totally different lens and asking, reframe those risks and constraints and say, are you still opposed? The fact of the matter is, then the head of manufacturing said, okay, fine. But of course in his own mind he thought, how are you going to do that? I know you can't do that, but he said, I made him commit in front of the CEO of the company. Okay. Then I went to the head of head of marketing, and I told him, you are not really opposed to me touching the gel, changing the gel. Your opposition is that you are really worried that the market, consumers would detect the changes and then reject the products, right? And you can't spend so much money to launch these products and be rejected in the marketplace. That is your worry. Therefore, but suppose I am going to develop gels in such a way that consumers are not going to be able to detect, undetectable to consumers. Would you still oppose that? He said, okay, I am okay with that. Okay. But of course he is kind of, he was nodding his head and, he was saying, like, you can see all this happening in the executive board meetings, right? So the man was laughing at me. He was like, yeah, sure, why not, you can do it. He said like that. I said, okay, fine. So now head of manufacturing has agreed for me to actually do something with it. Head of marketing has agreed to do something with it. Okay. So if options 1 and 2 are satisfied, option C would also be okay to all parties. I also said this, by the way. I actually said this. If I can do 1 and 2, suppose, and I create a solution of my own, is that okay? Yeah, sure, why not? So this is what happened. Now, begin challenging the paradigms? Yes. Okay, option A, new packaging solutions. The first one is change packaging, don't touch the gels. Okay. So, broad research investigation I did, incredible amount of research we did. In addition to all the other things that we were doing, we actually focused on this with some of my best scientists and engineers who were working on this. We came up with something called metal piston, super piston, bag in can, and bag on valve. Each of this solution could eliminate entirely the volatile organic chemicals. So that means the gel has 4% TOC, packaging, any one of these packaging solutions, okay, will work because it 0%. They actually work on nitrogen, okay, and argon, which are actually inert gases, and they are not volatile organic chemicals. So therefore, we solved the problem. Only problem is they required 30 to 50 million capital investment. And that's what my manufacturing guy, head of manufacturing, said, I told you so. But he didn't do any one of this work, but simply he said, it cannot be done. And I kind of reproved him. Okay. So unfortunately, we confirmed paradigm 1 and So they said, okay, I'm very happy. He thought he's very happy because he doesn't have to do the work. As head of R&D, I have to deliver. His job is not there, right? I said, okay, fine. Then, what about paradigm 1B? Current packaging was fully optimized by SCJ manufacturing and R&D for over a period of 10 years. So, then I had to revisit the existing packaging, the packaging that was currently in the marketplace, and say, what can I do to that? But my experts tell me that they have already optimized, there's nothing else you can do about it, right? I said, no, we're going to go back. We did thousands of experiments, okay? So, and what we did was, when we did that, I actually changed the composition of the volatile organic chemicals itself. So, whatever paradigms they developed were to a specific composition of volatile organic chemicals. So I said, I'm going to use completely different ones, which they did not try. And then when I did that, I found that the level of what you call volatile organic chemicals can be reduced from 3% to 1%, which means now gels will have 4% because I'm not going to touch the gels. Okay, now I reduce the VOCs under the piston from 3 to 1, so 5%. Okay, it's not 4%, it's 5%. Okay, then the question is, can we actually go and talk to the regulatory authorities and say that, well, we're going to do it in phased manner, but let's do 5%. Okay, you should be nice with us. So the thing that we did was, we went and spoke to, first of all, we disproved paradigm 1B, which means current packaging is so optimized that you cannot do any changes and nothing can be done. It can be done, you can reduce VOCs. So at this point, what I suggested to the company was, the marketing, so the communication director, can we partner with our competitors and negotiate with CARB to allow 5% VOC level? Okay, so essentially we went to Procter & Gamble and Johnson & Johnson. These are the two companies, and we said, look, let's go together, all three of us, and then talk to CARB, California Air Resources Board, and say that instead of 4%, we'll do 5%. Said, oh, what did you do? They asked. So we told them, we just did this, and we can reduce it to 5%. Oh, thank you, but they're not interested. That was the thing. So basically, they saw as an opportunity to kill us, and you are killing yourself. I will simply express sympathy and let you drown. So that's what it is. So basically, they simply said, we are not interested. You go. So now the question is, that means we are again back to the drawing board. So 5% is not going to work. Okay. What about paradigm D? Paradigm 2. Gels were fully optimized, right? Can we touch the gels? Okay. Now that means it means reformulated. This is an extraordinarily risky thing, because the point is, it is true that consumers might be able to detect, right? But anyway, I said, when a guy is going to die, he has nothing else to fear. You can just go ahead and do. That's the kind of situation innovators will face. Remember, it's not going to be a cakewalk, okay? But that's why innovation is not for the faint-hearted. It is for people who are iron resolved. You have to believe in yourself, you have to believe in your troops, and march them against their own will even, and then achieve the results. Once you achieve the results, then everybody will be on your bandwagon. Okay, so what we did was, we did what is called in-depth research we did, and we were able to reduce the VOC content in the gel also from 4 to 1%. Again, we completely broke all rules. Whatever they did in the last 10 years to optimize, we broke them. We said, what if we do this? What if we do that? What if we don't do that? It's completely different. It's crazy. The way we did the experiments and we did solve the problem was like this, right? So we disproved the paradigm. Now the real test. Okay. What about paradigm 2B? 24. Okay, that one we can come a little later. Okay. Okay. So at this stage, what I did was, it's a very, very important stage. We haven't reformulated everything. We have reformulated a couple of formulas, and then I called for a meeting again. But this is another thing innovators must constantly do. In other words, communication, negotiation and communication are Very, very critical, because that is a way to influence people. You cannot simply think let the results will speak for itself. No, results won't speak for themselves. You have to be proactively actually engaged. Even though other people are like looking at you like you are a joke, you still should be looking at them and say that you are my hero, and then talk to them. So it requires a special kind of mindset, not to be concerned by overt disrespect. Doesn't matter, because you are on a mission, right? So I called for this meeting with all this chief executive officer, chief marketing officer, chief of manufacturing, chief legal officer, and chief financial officer. All of them in the boardroom. They were all sitting, and then I arranged 2 sets of shave gel cans, right? Okay, labeled A and B. Everyone had A and B. There is a sheet of paper under A, sheet of paper under B. Everyone, okay? So one of them is currently marketed product, which was making hundreds of millions of dollars. Okay, the other one is the reformulated, package changed product. Okay, existing package, but it's not the same packaging. Okay, it's a different one, right? So I put these things, and under that the formulas are actually clearly said reformulated, packaging changed for one. The other one is existing commercial product. So this is an incredible gamble that you have to take as an innovator. Again, what happens is you must be prepared to put your neck on the line. Not your, you cannot simply say, oh, you know what, my co-workers did this, and like disown everybody, and then throw everybody under the bus. No, you can't do that. You should put your own head on the line. That's what I did, neck on the line. So what happened? I said, Chief Executive Officer, please try both. So he opened it and then tried it like this, the shave gel, right? And he tried, and then one said, oh man, this is really awful. He said like that. Okay, this is not good at all. And then I said, okay. Wipe, and we of course got wipes also. So he wiped it off, and then he applied the second one. This finds really good. He said like that. I said, okay, good. Note down which one you like, and then put tick mark. So you put a tick mark, right? Move to the next person. Next person also did the same. Third person did the same. Fourth person did the same. Fifth person did the same. So the first one again said, one of them again, because he's chief executive, he owns the company. He's a billionaire. So he said, I don't like this product at all. The first one you showed. So can you please? Because I also don't know which one he didn't like. So he just turned it. That was the currently commercially marketed product by him, his company. I hate it. He said like that. I let him make all kinds of statements he made, and he himself picked the product that we are selling in the marketplace. And the other one is started singing praises. It's so nice. It's so great, and this and that. Is this? Then I asked head of marketing, because he's another guy who's he's about. Consumer will detect this problem. So I asked him. He also said, I like this product really, really well, but this one is like, it's not good at all. And then when he picked up, it was exactly the same product he picked. It is reformulated, changing package. Third one, same. Fourth one, same. Fifth one, same. 5 out of 5, 100% success. It's at that point in time, they simply couldn't look, because they didn't talk to each other. I didn't stage it. It's completely open. It's blind test. So then they stood up, and then they gave me standing ovation. And I said, bravo, you accomplished it. Okay? It's really, really a great accomplishment and all that. But then the bad news was delivered by Chief Executive Officer. It was a short-lived glory. They said, Uday, I don't have to tell you this. The proof is not the 5 of us. The proof is in the marketplace where millions of consumers in America are using these products. How are you going to convince them? And can I say, no, it doesn't matter. No. You want it, so let's launch it. No. That means, imagine, even after this kind of success, that is still not a success. So then I said, okay, no, I fully realize that. I take the challenge. So we're going to test it. So we actually went and tested it in two major cities like Chicago and I think New York. We tested, and large number of them, maybe more than 20 million, whatever. We launched it, and people actually used it, and they absolutely not only no complaints. There were, we have consumer hotline specifically for this new and improved or something like that. We put it. So absolutely very good positive comments we got. Then, by the way, before that, I did this. I still had to prove that 24 formula are the different ones. So the same technology had to be translated into 24 different formulas, and all of them did extremely well. And then we actually put it to consumer tests, and absolutely nothing happened. And in fact, so what happened was consumers were not able to detect. Consumers actually loved it. So what we chose to do was, instead of putting 1% gel, what we did was we changed the packaging. We actually used this. It's called a 2+2 solution, which means change the gel and reduced it from 4% to 2%, and under the piston we went from 3% to 2%. So now we changed both packaging and the gel. And this particular one, the reason why we did that was, though for example we could have gone from to 1% in the gel and 1% under the piston, but if California Air Resources Board again comes up with another regulation for even further reduction, we already have a solution in place. We are complying with the current regulation. That is what is called T3, T4. I'm already prepared for T4. You know what I'm saying? So that's what it is. Reformulated the gels and retained the existing package. So what happened? Mission tested. Large scale consumer tests positively proved that consumers significantly preferred the new gels over that's the point. They significantly preferred the new products over the currently marketed products, and it came out, right? Then basically strategic outcome. Now I am going to show you. Remember I told you that when we talk of companies delivering sustainable value, there are three things: delivering economic value, delivering social value, and delivering environmental value are also taken into account, right? So let us look at it, how many we could satisfy. Successfully, SCJ complied with CARB regulation by December 2009 and saved its shave business. So what is the economic value? Company saved at least 30 million in capital investment, and packaging remained practically unchanged. So they, instead of spending money, they actually saved money, 30 million. And in fact, I'll tell you, the financial gain for the company is incredibly more than 30 million. Consumer value. Consumers obtained new shaving gels that were preferred by them. That is called consumer value generation. Environmental value. Environment greatly benefited because now we have less volatile organic chemicals into the environment, right? Then economic value further. The innovation strategy was a win for consumer, win for company, and win for environment. That's a triple bottom line. And shareholder value. SC Johnson divested the shave division in 2010. It was sold for incredible profit. So imagine, this value was created by the innovation. If the same company, without changing any one of those products, would have been sold, they would have got pocket change for the company, because those are gels that are not going to comply in 2009. So entire business will be retiring. So they couldn't have sold the company for anything other than small pittance. You know what I'm trying to say? Because it's useless. Who will buy a company spending a lot of money, several $1 billion, to buy a company that is going to exist for 2 or 3 years? Nobody will buy the company like that. So what we did when we solved this problem and then they sold the company, they made huge, several times more than their revenues. I can't disclose the amount, but they made a lot of money. So that's the story. That's how innovation looks like. That's how innovator has to face what you call as constraints and limitations. It's about overcoming constraints and limitations. That's where the innovation story is, but not in the headlines. Okay.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, sir. Okay.
Any questions?
Questions from different noodle centers? First we come to GSS Academy of Technical Education, Noida. GSS Academy